Welcome, everybody. My name is Mike Brook. This is the Iron Boat Association's biggest Texas route planning fundamentals presentation. I'm pre-recording this a few days prior to the annual biggest Texas event in hopes to put together an online version of this that is going to be helpful for everyone who couldn't make the actual presentation in person. There's going to be lots of good stuff in here, so let's get to it. All right, let's get right into it. What are we going to cover? We're going to break it up into two sections, route planning and writing your rally. The route planning segment of this presentation, we're going to dive into Excel spreadsheets and what they do for us in the rally writing environment. Why do we use them? What information can they give us? And how can we tailor make a spreadsheet for our own needs for any specific rally? Got an Apple numbers time calculator I put together. We'll get into details on that later, but basically it's going to be a one-stop shop for inputting time and mileage, points, and some conversion factors to give us an accurate estimate on time of arrival at our time-restricted bonuses, at our checkpoints, or a whole rally as a whole. It's a valuable tool, and we'll get into those details with that Apple numbers calculator. We're going to get to do a brief overview of Google MyMaps. A lot of people use Garmin Basecamp, and for some out there, Google MyMaps is not the tool of choice. For me, it's my go-to. So we'll go over some of the basic fundamentals of it and how to use it in building a route for a rally. Then we're going to go through a step-by-step process using a checklist I've made from preparing in your hotel room to getting your rally packet and every step along the way to getting that information in your spreadsheet, into your routing software, and planning a route until you're out the door. On the rally side, we're going to talk about some of the tools for routing and navigating along the route. We're going to get into Google Maps Mobile. What are the things that Google can do for you that your Garmin GPS just can't do? Some great features that having an online tool like that can do. We'll talk a little bit about offline maps, Google Street View, how to access that, and how to use that while you're on the bike, and some other tips and tricks on using these tools while you're on your rally. And then time management. This is going to get into a little bit of detail about how we use Google on the bike, how we use our Garmin on the bike. We're going to talk about rest or time off the bike, whether it be our gas stops, bonus stops, or rest stops, and how to kind of maximize our time to be as efficient as possible and make the most points as possible. So let's get to it. Rally objective. Well, it's real simple. Most points wins. 3 words, easier said than done. To put it a little more succinctly, plan and execute a ride to attain the most points within the time available. Sounds easy enough. Let's try to do it. So this is my route planning checklist. I've created this over a few years of a lot of trial and error, lots of edits and reordering in hopes to create a flow, a workflow that gives us the least amount of steps to the best output at the end. Just like we said, what is the rally objective? Most points wins. So this checklist is going to be our fallback as a step-by-step guide on how to get us through the rally planning process. During a rally, leg 3, you're tired, you're exhausted, you can't think straight. Having this checklist is a really good fallback to be able to remind you, okay, what have I done? What do I need to do? and keep your mind clear so you can stay focused on the task at hand. This rally checklist is broken up into a couple different sections. Everything above the line here is things we're going to do prior to receiving the rally book. We're going to get these things accomplished in our hotel room a day or so prior. Everything below the line is things we're going to do after we receive the rally book. You can see the nomenclature here. We have everything in blue is what we're going to be doing on our desktop, whether it's Windows or Mac. Green is going to be in Excel. I've got a phone line here, but basically this is just calculator, something we're doing on a notepad, separate from Excel or Windows. Down here, I've got some steps to load your GPX files into Garmin's. For me, I have specific steps for my 665 and also the Garmin XT. So this is our rally spreadsheet template we'll be using. The idea behind using an Excel spreadsheet for rally planning is to take the raw information given to you by your rally master, organize it and condense it in a manner that's going to give you the information you really need to plan your route. This spreadsheet is broken up into 3 sections. Over on the left, you'll see the things you're probably traditionally accustomed to in a spreadsheet. This is going to be a column for your bonus name, Latin long, thread, availability. Available, this will be used for photo bonuses or bonuses that are available only at a specific time. The idea behind these columns is it allows us to sort out this information later and see it visually very easily. We're not going to use the other column today. Over here in the middle between these gray bars is a not a bonus column. This not a bonus column is going to use a Excel formula to look up the bonus code info and the points and marry it up over here on the left side. And what it's going to do is it's going to tease out our thread combos from our bonuses that are associated with Latin longs. It'll make more sense as we go through this step by step. Over here on the right side, we have other columns for thread and points. We're going to use this more of a scratch pad to put our threads and combos in and be able to sort those and get a good visual representation of those. So what do we want in a spreadsheet? Really, the plan when I built this was to create a spreadsheet that's going to give us the most information with the least amount of steps. This spreadsheet might not be as comprehensive as some of the other Rally Rider spreadsheets out there, which are fantastic products that give a lot of detail. This was built with a minimalist approach to give you just the most info you need with the least amount of steps. It's totally customizable. It's not locked down. So please modify it any way you see fit to give you the information you want for your bonuses. So what's it going to give us? This is a Google Maps, MyMaps pin with a bonus from the 2023 Leg 3 Iron Butt Rally. You can see up here on the left, we've got the bonus code name, point values, the thread identifier, and the availability window, married up with the location and the pin on the map. In the mobile version, it's going to look just the same. This is Google Maps you'd have on your phone. All the same information from Google My Maps is right here on your phone. The spreadsheet being customizable can be, with enough time, set up to give you any and all information from the rally book. You can see here with this example, this is the same bonus, and by adding columns for description or task, you can put all of the information from the rally book into your tag for the bonus, up to and including a photo of the bonus itself. This is time consuming. This is not what we'll be doing, but it just goes to show the flexibility of your spreadsheet and what it can actually provide for you. You can see here, this is a Garmin XT, and the nomenclature here is the same. Basically, anything that's put in the spreadsheet goes into the codes column and comes up as the name for the bonus. So one quick glance, we have all the same information we would have over here with Google Maps or for our initial planning. This is an Apple Numbers rally calculator I built. It looks kind of overwhelming and a little Frankensteinish, and that's because it's been through many iterations. Uh, this tool has shown to be pretty helpful, though. I'm going to give you all the ins and outs on it and how we can use it. So this is how it's going to appear on an Apple iPad. Just looking at it at first glance here, you can see up top we've got multiple pages. These are all identical to this one here. These pages allow us to toggle through maybe different sections of a leg, different legs, or even different rallies if you wanted to. Down here on the numbers calculator, what we have here are some fields we can change. The fields that are in red are fields that we can change. And what we're really going to be looking at is these fields up here in the purple and these that are currently blanked out in the red. Okay, so why are we using this calculator even at all? What I found is that using Garmin Basecamp for me doesn't give me the routing I really like, where Google Maps seems to do much better with routing, but not an excellent job with ETAs at the pace that I ride. Garmin Basecamp has a little more customizability with the fact that you can change your average mile per hour, but when you pair that up with poor routing and just some other Garminisms, I haven't found it to be very accurate. What I have found to be more accurate in my planning bonuses and my accurate ETA estimates is to use Google Time and then apply a conversion factor to it. I've gone back through all of the rallies I've ever ridden, and I've taken those routes and deconstructed them. I've taken those routes and I've found what Google says it's going to take me to do those routes and then compare them directly to what I actually did. This is including fuel stops. This is including bonus stops. I'm subtracting out the rest here, guys, but really what I wanted to do is get an accurate historical representation of what my pace is compared to Google time. Now, this is going to vary for everybody, and it varies for me from location to location. But I found that using a conversion of Google time at just a zero point 0.9 conversion. So what this does is this multiplies the Google time by 0.9 and gives us something less than Google estimates. I found this to be a useful, conservative, some of the time conservative number that is fairly accurate. Sometimes out east in more condensed areas where there's a lot more towns or traffic, maybe 0.92 or 0.93. If I'm going into somewhere like Manhattan, I might be using more like 0.94, 0.95. Out west, where there's more interstates, less traffic, higher speeds, and generally you can just be on the road longer without any congestion. I might use something more like 0.89. So this calculator here gives us three different rows to calculate ETAs up here. This will make more sense as we start putting data into these fields. Okay, so the first thing we have here is the start time. This start time is going to be either the start of the rally, the start of the leg, or when we leave a bonus, depending on how we're using this calculator. Over here, you can see the date and time toggle is selected. And what this does, this allows us to use these tabs up here to quickly change the hours, days, years, scrolling up or down really easily. And then we can skip using the number pad that way. Makes it for a quick entry. What we have here, this is a split screen view of the iPad using Google MyMaps on the left and the number calculator on the right. What's nice about this is we can input information directly from the Google My Maps route we've built right into the numbers calculator on the right. So you can see we're going to input the mileage, and then we're going to input the time for this segment that we're calculating directly from Google My Maps on the left. You can see Google, once you get above 23 hours, uses days, hours, minutes, and the numbers calculator uses the same. You can see down on the left of the keypad, if we use the durations tab there, we can plug it in just the same as we would from the Google My Maps page there. So we could go 2 days, 8 hours, 15 minutes, and it transfers over really quickly that way. You can see up here in the purple, we have a field for time change. I have it written out as gain usable west with a plus sign. And that's just a reminder for me that if we're going westbound, we're gaining usable time. So anytime we're gaining usable time, we're going to have a positive number in this window. You can see in this example, we have a minus 2 hours. So this example would be, let's say, going from San Francisco to Chicago, where we have Pacific time is where we're leaving, and Central time is where we're arriving. So we're going to subtract 2 hours. You can see up here in the top, we have a rest stopped window here. This is just going to add this time into our calculated time over on the right side. So rest bonuses, time off the bike, we can factor that all in. Over here in the far left of the numbers calculator, we have a points value calculator. This is just a very simple calculator. All it does is gives us a field to put our point values directly from MyMaps, and we'll get into the MyMaps details later, but you can see over here on the left side of the screen how each bonus has the point value available right there in front of us. We can quickly plug that into our point calculator here on our numbers calculator. And the end result looks something like this. So you can see here we have our points, our total points available here for this segment that we've just added up, our mileage. This is the Google time that came directly out of Google My Maps. This is in straight hours and not days, hours, minutes, but just total hours and minutes. This here is our start time. These are our conversion factors. You can see up here, this first row here, this shows the Google time, which is the same as this. And this would be the total time with the conversion factor applied. The next row above that, you'll see the average miles per hour for that conversion factor we're using. And then this purple row, this is what we're really going to be looking at the most. This purple row up here is going to give us the combined time of our start time, our time change, our rest time, and our conversion factor applied. So in this example here, you can see that we're leaving on June 25th at 5 a.m. Our route is 56 hours and 15 minutes Google time. And you can see with the time change and the rest time, our arrival time estimated at 5:37 p.m. on the 27th using a 0.9 conversion. Up on the top here, we have a points per time ratio. I added this in here because anytime we input these point values, what it'll do is it'll just divide those by the uh, time here and give us a point time ratio, which is really what we're looking for because most points wins. It's not points per mile that's really necessarily the most important thing. It's the points per time. Okay, we'll see how this works with some examples as we work through it. For those of you new to Google My Maps, this is just going to be a brief overview. It's going to give us an idea how to create a map, label it, and some basic functionality with driving directions and how to create just a basic ride. So this is the My Maps homepage. I like to tab this in my browser so I can get to it quickly and easily. What we're going to do here is just create a basic map. We're going to go ahead and start up here on the left side with create a new map. We're going to go up to the title of the map and just give our map a name. Right now we'll name it map 1. We'll give it a short description. Most points wins. You could put the date or the rally name or any kind of good information in here. This is a basic layer. It's an untitled layer. We're going to give it a quick name. We're just going to call it places for today. Now that we have our map and we have it named, let's start adding some points to it. We have this basic search bar up top here. I'm going to search for my hometown. I'm going to add it to my map. Clicking on the plus symbol adds it to my layer on the left. I'm going to customize the icon, change the color. We'll make it a house. Add a direction layer. With driving directions, I can search from Google or from the layer above. So you can see I pulled up Palisadro, I'm pulling up Alice's Restaurant, and it gives me a route from A to B. The 3 dots on the left there will give me the driving directions and the distance and time between A and B. Now that we've built a basic route from A to B, we have our drive mileage and time. Let's start adding to our route here. What we're going to do is we're going to close this direction tab out. We're going to go up here, select our layer, and select the pin tab up on the toolbar. I want to add a cool road to my route. I just click on the road. I take that point. We'll give it a name. We'll call it Sweet Road 1 for now. I'm going to save it. It's going to put it over there in the places layer. I'm going to go down here, find another road I like. Again, using the pin tab. We're going to add a pin to the route, give it another name. Any named pin goes to our selected layer over on the left. You can see how we've just added Sweet Road 2. So now that we've added a couple customizable pins to our places layer, let's go ahead and add those to our route. We're going to add a destination in the driving directions here. And again, this is searchable right from our layer above. We're going to add Sweet Road 2, but that's not where we want it. So we're going to long click on it. You'll see the 4 arrows, and we can drag that into any location we want. We're going to add Sweet Road 1. Again, it's not where we want it at the end of the route. We're going to put it in the middle of the route by dragging it up there and give us something that looks like this. So we've created a route. Starts in Palisadro, goes through Sweet Road 1 and 2, and ends at Alice's Restaurant. Well, that's great. But Google routes us in the shortest time that it can give us between A, B, C, and D. What if we want to venture off of that and do something a little more custom? Well, we can rubber band our route. How we do that is we click on the blue line, find that white dot, and we just pull it over to where we want it to go. And you can see how that adjusts our route in a different manner than shortest time. You can see up in the top left, we have our distance and time for the new route we've created by rubber banding it. You can see here in this example, by rubber banding our route, it instantly changes the distance and time up top. With a couple quick clicks, we've just made a new route and that direction layer has updated accordingly. Let's add another layer to our route. We're going to close this window out, go over to add a layer. That's going to give us an untitled layer down here. I'll label it. For now, we'll just call it gas stops. We can go up here to our search bar, find a gas station that we're looking for. This is just using Google search. The plus bar adds it to the selected layer to the left. We're going to customize this icon, give it a change in color, go down to more icons. You can see here the options are really endless. We're going to find a gas station icon and it changes it over on the layer on the left. Back to our direction layer, that's searchable. We can pull up that gas station, add it to our route, and drag it in line in the order that we want it. You can see how that doesn't change the rubber banding we did earlier in our route. We have an updated distance and time with a new route with the gas station now added. Another real useful tool with Google My Maps is editing changes. You'll see up in the left corner we have an undo button. With a quick click, we can compare changes to our route or fix mistakes and verify it's saved over here on the left-hand side. Down on the bottom, we can change our base map. We can change it from a traditional view to a satellite view or a terrain map. Up at the top, we can go to the Share tab. This is how we would share our route with friends. We'll tab anyone with a link can view, share on Drive, and this is where we would add email addresses from your Google account. You can also change whether those people invited are viewers or editors of this route. Now we're going to add a layer so we can import an Excel spreadsheet. We're going to go over here to add a layer, select the import tab, and you can see a browse button here to browse our computer's files, or we can just drag and drop from the desktop into the import window here. You can see some of the details about the types of files that Google allows and some of its restrictions. Now that we've made a map, let's go ahead and export it so we can put it in our Garmin later. We're going to go over here, select the three dots, and select Export to KML. You can see we can export the entire map or just individual layers. We would select the KML instead of KMZ because that'll later allow us to convert this to a GPX file. One of the other handy tools with Google My Maps is being able to open your map right in Google Earth. Select the three dots and view in Google Earth. It'll open up a separate window right in Google Earth with your map. Another tool I use a lot is copying my map. Select the three dots, scroll down to copy map. The copy map will instantly label it copy of whatever it's named, and it'll open up a new browser window with an identical copy of that map. So we finally made it to Rally headquarters. We've met all our crazy friends. We've done all the paperwork. We've done all our camera checks, check-in procedures, auto checks, and all the other miscellaneous stuff we've got to do while we're there. Now it's time to get ourselves into rally mode and get some stuff done before we're on the clock. Now we're going to go through a step-by-step example of all the steps we need to take in real time to go from the days leading up to the rally to building our route and starting our rally. We're going to start with our checklist and we're going to complete all the items above the line. These are the things we're going to do before we receive the rally book. First thing we're going to do here on the checklist sounds pretty simple. We're just going to connect to the internet, pair internet speeds. Some hotel internet is not very good. Maybe your local hotspot is faster, but we need the fastest internet possible. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up MyMaps and we're going to create a new map. Once we've created a map, it's time to go ahead and label it. These are going to be the maps we use during the rally for our actual rally planning. We're going to label this one 23 IBR leg 1. We're going to go ahead and do this for all three legs. We're going to go up here to the search bar. We're going to search the start location. For this example, 23 IBR. starts in Pittsburgh Airport Marriott. We're going to add it to our map over here with our untitled layer, and we're going to add the first checkpoint. It's the Hilton in Tulsa right here. You see it pop up, Doubletree, Warren Place. We're going to add it to our map. We're going to go ahead and we're going to change these pins so they look different than the pins we later import. I like turning them into black houses. They stand out. Work best for me that way. We're going to take the untitled layer and we're going to go ahead and label it just checkpoints for now. Again, we're going to do this for all 3 legs. So now we've made 3 separate maps. They're all labeled for all 3 legs of the rally. We have the start and finish locations and checkpoints during the rally. Next thing we're going to do is simply open up our browser to our email. So when the rally packet comes through, we can just grab those files and drag them to the desktop. Next thing on the checklist is open up a blank Excel workbook. The reason for a clean spreadsheet is because our rally template that we're using has formulas in it that aren't going to be recognized by Google. So once we get the information in that spreadsheet, we're going to go ahead and copy and paste it later into this blank workbook we're creating now. We're going to go ahead and rename it. I give it the rally name, 23 IBR leg 1, and Google. That way I know that this is the sheet that I'm dragging into Google later. Next item on the checklist is going to be to open up our Excel template that we talked about earlier. We're going to take this template and we're going to rename it. We're going to name it 23 IBR leg 1 sheet. This is going to be different from the workbook we just labeled earlier, Google. We're going to do this for all 3 legs. Each leg is going to have 2 workbooks, one Google and one sheet, which is the template. This will make more sense as we put information into it later. Next thing we're going to do is calculate our available ride time. What this is going to do is give us an estimate on time and distance that we might expect to cover in that leg and give us a good idea when we get into the rally planning stage on what is possible for that leg. You can see here leg 1, we've got broken down into some information at the top here. Day 1, 14 hours. Day 2, 24 hours. Day 3 is 20 hours. Got a 1 hour time change. That leaves us 59 hours of riding time. Since we're not planning on the clock for leg 1, we've got 0 hours of plan time. There is an 8-hour rest bonus in this leg. We're going to subtract 8 hours from our 59 hours to give us a total ride time of 51 hours. If we expected to take more rest during this leg, this is where we would subtract that now. Now we're just doing some rough math down here, taking that 51 hours of available ride time. We're going to use 60 and 65 miles per hour just to give us a rough mileage total of something we might reasonably expect to cover over that first leg. Now, down here at the bottom, I've got a max Google time. What this is this is a Google time corrected with a correction factor of 0.9 to come up with a time that will give us 51 hours of real world riding. So in this case, we've got about 57 hours or 2 days, 9 hours of available Google time that I think we can pull off in the first leg of this rally. What's leg 2 look like? Very similar. First day, 20 hours. Second day, 24 hours. Third day, 20 hours. That takes us right into the 8 p.m. penalty window. We have a 1 hour time change that's going to add to our available time. That's going to give us 65 hours of ride time. Leg 2, just for planning purposes, and this is pretty tight, but we'll just round it to 1 hour. We're going to subtract 1 hour off it for planning. Same as in leg 1, leg 2 offers a 8-hour rest bonus. If we wanted to take any additional rest, we'd factor in that now. Gives us 56 hours of total ride time. Again, just some rough math. 60 and 65 miles an hour gives us these totals below. And then max Google time. Using our 0.9 correction factor gives us about 62 hours of available Google time once we get into the planning phase. Leg 3, this is a monster leg. We've got 20 hours from the 4 a.m. start. A full 24-hour day, another 24-hour day, another 24-hour day, another 24-hour day, and then the 8 hours in the morning that brings us into the penalty window at the finish. This is a long leg. We've got minus 2 hours on the time change. That's going to give us 122 hours total for leg 3. We're going to give us a generous 3 hours to plan. We should use this to make a good leg. Rest, we've got 2 rest bonuses in this leg, equating to 16 hours of total rest. We could definitely add some more rest time in here, but just for planning purposes, since we have 3 hours to plan, we'll use the 16 hours of rest and see what our numbers come out with, and we can make some adjustments from there. We've got 103 hours of total ride time. With our math of 60 and 65 miles an hour, we come up with these totals of about 6,600 miles at 65 miles per hour. Total Google time, 114 hours, 4 days, 18 hours at 0.9. Now again, over a leg this long, we might see some sections of higher speeds, and maybe we might need some more rest. So this is just a brief overview of what is possible. In this chart here, you can see a good visual representation of points per hour for the last 4 IBRs. You can see it broken down into legs 1, 2, and 3. You can see how, on average, leg 1 is worth less than legs 2 and 3 of the rally. And generally, leg 3 is worth more points per hour than legs 1 and 2, with the exception of 2023, just by a few points. But remember, that leg 3 is huge, with lots of time and lots of availability to pick up big points. You can see here in this graph just how many points that leg 3 is really worth. You've got lots of hours, and generally the highest points per hour you're going to find in the rally. So taking that extra time to plan your leg 3 is super critical. Well, we've completed all the items above the line on our checklist. And now we see this. This is where shit gets real. This is where everything we do from here on out is on the clock. From this moment forward until the end of the rally and we are scored, every single thing we do is a trade-off for time. Now we've got a rally packet and we're on the clock, so let's get to it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to that open browser and we're going to take that email that we get from the Rally Master with the information in it and drag it to our desktop and open up those files. Here's what it looks like. On the left, we've got the bonus codes and the Latin longs. On the right, we've got the bonus code and the point values for each bonus. Now that we have the rally bonus information, first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste that into our rally template. We're going to go ahead and bring our rally template up, and we're going to copy and paste the bonus code and Latin long under name and Latin long in our template, just like this. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring that point value sheet that we received, and we're going to copy and paste that into our template as well. Again, starting with code and points, we're going to bring that over to our template, and we're going to put it under code and points in that middle window. You're going to see that's going to auto-populate, and it's going to bring our point value over to the left side of the sheet as well. So you can see leg 1 of the 23 IVR. We have 41 bonuses. Each bonus is associated with a Latin long. Since on this leg, all 41 bonuses are associated with a Latin long, this not a bonus column doesn't apply. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort the points from high to low. We're going to go ahead, go to the top of the sheet, and using points, we're going to go ahead and highlight those, right click, sort, largest to smallest. Click sort, and you can see we have a good visual representation of all our bonuses. One thing to note here is that by sorting anything within these gray bars, it doesn't affect what happens over here on the left side. Again, this is a lookup table that compares the code to the points and pairs it up on the left side over here. By sorting or changing the order of things, it doesn't affect either side of these gray bars. We're going to step away from our 23 IBR example just for a moment to talk about this whole not a bonus column. This is a previous IBR where not every bonus is associated with a Latin long. This is going to give us an example on how to sort not a bonus. And then sort points high to low like we did earlier. So you can see here in this example, we can't simply copy and paste the bonuses and have them match up with the Latin longs on the left. There's a lot of extra information over there in that not a bonus column. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this not a bonus column, we're going to highlight it, same as we sorted points, only now we're going to right click and we're going to sort A to Z. This is going to tease out that combo information and anything that's not associated with a Latin long. You'll see now it's in alphabetical order down to 163 bonuses, and everything below that is call-in bonuses, combo bonuses, and other information. We're going to take that info, we're going to copy it, we're going to cut it out of there. We're going to cut it, and we're going to take it over here to our scratch pad on the far right side. Under thread, we're going to paste that info. This is going to give us all those combos, call-in bonuses, rest bonuses, and other information, and we're going to sort that. Points sorted from high to low. Now we're going to go back to the not a bonus column here, and we're going to take those and we're going to sort those from high to low as well. Again, everything that happens between the gray bars doesn't affect everything around it. So now we have a good visual representation of not just our point values for our bonuses, but also our threads. Now it's time to go in here and insert our bonus availability. There's no real easy way around this. This is where we're going to have to take our rally book and go bonus by bonus and input the availability. The only thing I've come up with to save a little bit of time here is if it's a 24-hour bonus, I don't add anything. You can see under the availability line, if it's 24 hours, it's just a blank. If it's a daytime, I add a D, and if it's a specific time, I'll put in that specific time. You can see here under the IAAM bonus, we have 0800 to 1700. Down below this for the KSCO bonus, this is a photo bonus. This is available at a specific time. What we're going to do here with this is once I input it into the availability, I'm going to copy and paste it right over here into available, which we'll see later has its advantages once we import this into our route planning software. Back working on the 23 IBR. This is leg 3. We're going to work mostly with leg 3 for the rest of this presentation. Time to input the thread identifiers. You can see over here on the left-hand side, this is where we're going to put our thread combo names. You can see we've got RK, hogs, and we input these down the line on the left. Good time to note that with this spreadsheet, the name, thread, availability, available, or other, if we were using it, it's all concatenated into this codes line. This is what's going to be tagged to our bonus when we're doing our route planning and see everything quick and easy in one click glance. Over here in the center, we've got our not a bonus section, which is now all bonuses because we've teased out the not bonuses and we put them over here. That's basically just our threads. You can see the 4 threads of this leg, hogs, pans, RK, and TXKOL, and their point values. We haven't sorted those yet. Over here back in the center again, we already have sorted from high to low, and you can see just how many points some of these high point bonuses are just by the visual representation of the bar graph. You're going to need quite a few of these smaller bonuses to equal just a couple of these larger bonuses. Okay, so we're all done here with our rally template on the right. Now it's time to go ahead and put this in our blank workbook that we labeled earlier prior to the start of the rally. First thing we're going to do is from our rally template, we're going to take name through codes, highlight all that information, copy and paste it, bring it over here to our blank workbook, paste it in there. You'll notice the NAs, that's because of the formulas. We're just going to select paste values. That's just going to give us the raw information that Google won't have a problem with. Now we can save that quickly and we can go ahead and drop that into Google My Maps. Okay, so now this is the map we created earlier prior to the start of the rally. This is our leg 3, 23 IVR map. We're going to go ahead and bring our spreadsheet over here. First thing we're going to do, we're going to add a layer, select the import tab. We're not going to browse, we're just going to minimize this window, and we're going to grab it straight from the desktop, drag it on in here. This is the Google workbook we used earlier. It's going to ask us, choose the column to position your place markers. Just leave lat and long selected. That's where the pin's going to go. Next thing, choose a column to title your marker. This is where we're going to select codes. That's that concatenated line with all the information that we attach to it in the spreadsheet. It's going to look something like this. Well, now we've got just a bunch of blue pins on a map. Now what are we going to do? So we could stuff a quantum computer in our tank bag and solve this little tiny equation over here on the left. We're going to have to actually do some real work. Yes, this will have to do instead. This is your own personal route planning headquarters right here. Up until now, everything we've done is just preparing our map so we can finally build the winning route. So now it's time to add some real information to our map. We're going to add some good visual information by making 3 different maps. We're going to do that by making copies of the maps like we did earlier. We're going to have one for points, threads, and availabilities. This is going to allow us to identify high point bonuses, time restricted bonuses, group photos if there are any, threads and combos. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go up here and we're going to copy the map. I always like copying the map and putting that in the background. We're going to go down here to our spreadsheet information and we're going to style by points. We're going to select ranges, 12 ranges. I like using yellow. Under set labels, we're going to go to codes. That's going to bring the code name up to the pin. Now we've basically got a heat map of the point values. I like to change the highest point values to the darkest color. That's helpful for me, but just my opinion. You can see by hovering over the point values, you can see those stand out on the map as you hover over them. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to go to the map we just copied. Before I do anything with it, I'm going to copy it again. Now we've got a third copy loading over on the right. Again, I'm going to take that information that's in uniform style and I'm going to sort it by thread. I'm going to go down here to my labels again. Labels, I'm going to select codes. That's going to give us that concatenated code next to our pin. I'm going to go in here, I'm going to change the colors of these pins to make colors that stand out and differentiate one thread from the next. Once I've gone ahead and done that, I've made some bright colors. I'm going to go down here to all the other ones that aren't associated with a combo, and I'm going to make them a small little dot. It's going to get them out of the way of my map, so I'm not looking at a bunch of useless information. Now you can see as I pan over top of the threads here, you can see those highlighted on the map and have a good visual representation of where those bonuses are. Now over here with the third copy of the map we've made, I'm going to go ahead and sort by availability. Now what this is going to do is basically give me my daylight bonuses and any bonus that has a time restriction. Anything with a color here is a time restricted bonus. Anything in gray is something that's 24 hours. So each pin on our map already has the associated code line. The code line is that concatenated line we built earlier in our spreadsheet. It's what shows us the bonus name, point value, availability, and thread if it's associated with one. Really, that's all the information you really need, but sometimes a good visual representation is really helpful. By making multiple maps, what we can do is we can not only see that on our desktop, but any other device as well. This is our cell phone here, Google Maps Mobile. When I'm sitting in front of my computer building my map, I may want to pull this map up on my iPad separate from my computer. Maybe have point values on one and combos on the other. This is a real useful tool for planning your route. And also, again, This is all available on your phone while you're moving. Another useful tool I like to use is browser zoom. Browser zoom, what it allows us to do is zoom independently from the zoom we're looking at right here. Browser zoom, using control and the scroll wheel, allows you to shrink down the size of the fonts on your screen to give you more visual information. If you're blind as a bat and you don't like that and you want bigger pins and bigger lettering, go ahead and zoom in on your map. Either way, it's a good, helpful tool to just give you the information you need while you're building your route. I've really spent a lot of time trying to figure out just how to build the best route. And honestly, I don't think there is a best way. Every rally is so different that there is really no rule of thumb on how to systematically build the best route. There are some general guidelines, though, however, I've found that seem to work pretty universally over most rallies I've ridden. These four that I have listed below, they're all kind of interconnected. The first one being route out to high points early. In most rallies, the highest point values are usually the furthest away and the hardest to get to. They're usually placed in a position where you're going to get those mid to late in the leg. The second item on the list here is skip low point bonuses. Don't get distracted by early points. This is connected with the first rule. It's very easy to get distracted by a low point bonus that might take quite a bit of time to get to, maybe even just 15 minutes. But remember, that earlier chart we looked at, that points per hour is really high in the later legs. So every minute we can use later in the leg to get bigger points is much better spent later in the leg. The third one on here, route in a direction giving you the most options near the end. Again, this is kind of connected to the first three. By skipping early low point bonuses, getting out to high point bonuses early in the rally, and giving yourself more options at the end of the rally, what this does is this gives you a better time frame for being more exact on getting bonuses closer to the end of the checkpoint or the end of the rally, giving you the most opportunity to make the most points. And again, usually towards the end of the leg, you're going to find more high point bonuses there anyways. So that time is going to be much better spent later in the leg. And the last one on here is indirect routes may be nearly as fast and yield more points. What I mean by that is some routes between A and B seem like a straight line on the map, but really some interstates may be much faster by going far out of the way between a straight line across the map. Sometimes you might route between A and B, and the shortest time between those 2 points could much better be spent by going a little bit further time-wise, much further out of the way. That longer distance might yield much more points and only just a little bit more time. So really, don't throw out any one route between A and B. Okay, so now let's actually build some routes. And ideally here, we want to build multiple routes. It's not one or two, but let's build at least 3 or 4. We need to have a lot of comparisons so we can really get an idea where the points are. By looking at this map, there's a lot of points up north. That was the first thing that struck my eye was Yellowknife. This is what we'll call the Ben Ernst route. We're going to build this route from the second checkpoint, and we're going to run all the way up to Yellowknife, and we're going to string these bonuses together one by one. We're using our direction layer, and all we're doing is adding a destination and selecting the bonus. This is going to be a rough route. We're just going to add these bonuses quickly onto our map. We're not going to get too exact here on what is daylight and what is not right now. We just want to see some general mileages and times, getting the big high point bonuses and making a general route all the way back to Pittsburgh for the finish. Okay, so let's take a look. What do we got here? Let's look at the details of this route. What do we got here? We've got a route that's 6,005 miles, 4 days, 44 minutes. You can see we've plugged those numbers into our numbers calculator here on the right. It's given us a total point value of 49,895, 6,005 miles. It's 96 hours of ride time. You can see we've added in the time change and a good solid 20 hours of rest that we might need going up to Yellowknife. Well, we've got a conservative 9.5 conversion factor in here, and it still gets us in almost 1 in the morning on the day of the finish. So we got some room to work with here. Let's build another route for a quick comparison. First thing I saw when I looked at this was all the points out in the far east. You can see those points way out there in Nova Scotia and all the way down to Key West. Let's string those together and see what they look like. Again, we're using our direction tab here, and we're going to route all the way out to these high point bonuses out here in Northern Maine, Prince Edward Island, and all the way out to Meat Cove in Nova Scotia. From there, we'll take this route and we'll start working our way down towards Key West. Again, we don't want to get too distracted by some of these bonuses that are between the high point bonuses we're looking for. There's a lot of stuff here in New York that it's really going to take up a lot of our time. And we don't have time to do that if we're going to make it down to Key West. You can see we're going to have to add another direction layer here as we've almost filled this one up. Add a second direction layer and start that layer off from where you left off. Here we have FLKW, which is Key West. We're going to plug that in, and we're going to pick up these high point bonuses down here in the Orlando area and the Tampa area. Work our way back up towards Pittsburgh in one big loop. This looks like a pretty ambitious route. This was my first plan and probably not the best plan. We're going to put this together and we're going to see what it looks like. We're going to hit the high point bonus up closer to Pittsburgh, and we're going to run that all the way into the Pittsburgh Airport Marriott. It's going to look something like this. Now, looking at this route, the one thing I do like is the fact that there is a lot of bonuses towards the end that give me some different options as we get closer to the end of the leg. So let's plug that into our calculator. It's going to look something like this. We've got a total of 7,246 miles. This is a monster route. And if you remember right, we were looking at right about 114 hours of max Google time. This is with only 16 hours of rest, nothing additional but the 2 bonuses. This is going to be really tight, but it is 54,500 points. Let's look at our Google times here. Using a 0.9 conversion factor, this is going to get us right in at 7:57 a.m. No real time to spare. This is going to be a tight one, but it could be possible. Up until now, we've been just looking at the high point bonuses. Let's try to put together another route, but this time let's look at the threads and see if we can incorporate these threads with some of the high point bonuses. There's no way we're getting all these threads and making it to Yellowknife or out to Nova Scotia or even down to Key West. But maybe, just maybe, we can string all these bonuses together, pick these threads up, and add some high point bonuses in there and see what they're worth. So we're going to start out by using the thread map we have, and we're just going to string just the threads together. We're not going to add any other bonuses in here other than just the minimum, just to pick up all 3 of these combos. The idea is what we're going to do, we're going to string all 3 of these combos together, or all 4 of these combos together. We're going to see what the point values are just for the combos themselves and the associated bonuses, and what kind of mileage and time we're going to get. And then, if that seems like a good idea, we'll add to this route, and we'll add some other high point bonuses along this route and see what we've got. So right now, we've used up 1 direction layer. We're going to have to add a second. Again, when you add a second direction layer because you need more bonuses, just start off where you left off. Right here, TXDA. We're going to search for that, add it into the layer. We'll continue on connecting our bonuses and our threads all the way up to New York, picking up all these combos before taking it into Pittsburgh. Okay, so now that we're done with that, let's see what it looks like. We're going to go back to our spreadsheet here and take a quick look at the thread values. You can see they're over there on the right. We can go ahead and sort those if we wanted or total those out quickly. We're going to plug this into our Apple numbers calculator, and it's going to look something like this. So you can see here, with just these thread bonuses put together, we have a route that's 6,834 miles. This is a pretty long route, and not a lot of room to spare, but you can see we've already got nearly 47,000 points, and this isn't including any of the bonuses along the route that we might want to pick up as we're going to get these combos. This shows a lot of promise. Let's see what else we can do with it. Okay, so now we've got a good base route here. Let's see what we can do with it. So instead of styling by threads, let's go ahead and change this to style by points. We've already got all of the combos linked together in this map. So let's open up a new direction layer and let's basically mirror the same route we did earlier and try to incorporate some high point bonuses along this route. We know we're going to need to pick up this MTMC bonus because it's a combo. This MTCL bonus, this is one of those ones where you may or may not want to get it because it's early on. Remember, skip those early in bonuses. I think I'm going to skip some of these bonuses up here in the Seattle area and just stick with picking up the combo bonuses that are absolutely necessary. There's a pretty high point bonus here in the Portland area. We're going to add that into our route and see how that works out. Again, we might want to make some changes to this early in the route. You can see as we get further away from the checkpoint, out here on the coast of California, we have some real high point bonuses. We have this one in San Francisco worth nearly 3,200 points. And right along that route out there to San Francisco, we have this CAF bonus. Let's go ahead and add that to the map. We're going to go ahead and drag that up in the proper order. Now you can see the CASF bonus there in San Francisco. It's a daylight only bonus. And I think by this point here, we're going to really need to be calculate the time that we're going to be arriving in there. We have already ridden all the way through the night, and we're going to be plugging into the second night at this point. So let's see what we got so far. We're going to add this into our Apple numbers calculator, and you can see right now this section of the leg leaving from the checkpoint is 2,300 miles. It's 35 hours, and we are gaining 1 hour of usable ride time going westbound. Using a 0.90 conversion factor, we're going to be arriving in San Francisco at 2 in the afternoon. So I feel pretty good about this. We got plenty of time to get there during daylight hours. We're getting there before peak traffic. And we know we're going to have to take a rest pretty soon after this. We've been on the bike now for 35 hours. So let's continue on with this route planning and see what else we can do. Okay, so we've just picked up a big high point bonus in San Francisco. And now we need to start working our way down to Southern California to pick up the mandatory combo bonuses. We've got some options here. We could either pick up some of these high point bonuses out on the coast of California, but they're not really big points and they're going to take a lot of time to get. That time is going to be much better suited later in the rally. Let's go ahead and go direct down to Southern California. Now, you'll see there are some really high point bonuses that are just going to be too hard to pass up. We need to get the bonuses that are associated with the combos. Let's go ahead and grab those and start stringing together our route all the way out to the other combo bonus out in Texas. Again, we're just basically mirroring the route that we made earlier. So we have two different layers that we can deselect later as we add these points in. So you can see a lot of these Texas bonuses are actually worth very few points, but they're absolutely mandatory if you want to pick up this combo. We're going to add these all the way down to South Houston, where you can see we've got a time restricted bonus. We're going to add this section of this leg all the way down to the last time restricted bonus of this combo. We're going to put this in our calculator and we're going to see how this works and see if we're still on track to meeting this in the middle of the day. So here we've got our calculator. You can see now, plugging those numbers in from the start, we have a total combined mileage now of 4,621 miles. We're 71 hours into this ride of Google time. We're now minus 1 hour from Mountain Time to Central Time because now we're in Houston. We've taken full 8-hour rest bonus somewhere outside of California, and we've ridden that nearly 35 hours once again, all the way out to Texas. So we know we're going to be needed to take another rest bonus here somewhere in this area. Looking at our Google calculator conversion factor, using a 0.90 or a more conservative 0.92, it's putting us into Houston somewhere mid-morning, 9:45 to maybe as early as 8:20 in the morning with that 8-hour rest. So far, so good for hitting our time requirements for these daylight bonuses. Let's see what else we can do here. Okay, so let's finish out this route. So far, we're just south of Houston, Texas, and we've been picking up really only the bonuses absolutely necessary to get our combos and any other high point bonuses that are generally really close to our existing route. Up until now, we've been moving along, not picking up any extra points. But now, let's use a couple of those rules we talked about earlier. You can see between B and C here up in North Carolina, we're going through Atlanta and getting no real points out of it. Let's try to go an indirect route down through Tampa and Orlando and get some real big points towards the end of this leg, and then couple it back up just north of Wilmington. This is going to add some time to our route for sure, but a whole lot more points. And being closer to the end of our route, it's going to allow us some options. If we're ahead on time, we'll keep with it. If we're not and we're falling behind, we might have to cut that out. But closer to the end of our route is where we really have the options to make these decisions. You can see over here on the East Coast, some of these bonuses are daylight only bonuses, and we're going to be in the middle of the night. So we're going to have to skip some of them. Others are absolutely mandatory to get the combo bonuses we're going to need to string together the big points. We're going to run this all the way up through New York, pick up some high point bonuses in Manhattan, along with the mandatory combo hogs bonus here in Manhattan as well. We're going to continue this all the way out to this PAAR bonus, which is another combo bonus that we absolutely must get to complete Art of Thread. From there, we'll take this all the way back to Pittsburgh, and we'll close this route out and see where we're at. Okay, let's really break down this route we just made. This is a monster ride. You can see here, this is worth so many more points than the routes we put together earlier. 85,536 points. Using a 0.9 conversion factor on our Google time, it's going to get us into the checkpoint finish of the rally, 7:05 a.m. Now, granted, this is 7,316 miles. We're only using 16 hours of rest. We may need more here, but this is on the edge of possible. If we needed more rest, maybe let's say just an hour, that would get us in at 8:05. Maybe this is too ambitious and we have to cut some points out. Remember, we added points in towards the end of the rally down near Orlando and Tampa. We could cut those out if necessary, but this is a really solid plan. And we finished this route out and decided on what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and finish this out so we can get it in our Garmin. First thing we're going to do, I like to go ahead and I copy and paste the distance and the time, and I put that into the layered name. I title the name segments 1 through 3, and then I paste the mileage. You can see here we've got 3 segments, and I'm taking the mileage and times and copying and pasting them into the name layers. By doing this, once I export this into a KML and then convert it into a GPX file and put them into my garments, this is what I'm going to see in my garment for this segment. And remember, in my garment, it's just going to navigate from the start of this leg or start of this segment to the end of this segment. That's going to be really valuable later. Now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to export this. We're going to export it to KML instead of KMZ like we talked about earlier, and we're going to export the entire map. We're going to select export to KML, and we're going to select download. From here, we're going to download this file, take it to an online file converter like KML to GPX.com, and take this file and turn it into a GPX format. We've done a lot of hard work into planning this rally so far. And here's where we find ourselves, with this finger pointing right at us, telling us this is the start of the rally. It's really hard to put into words exactly what this feels like, so let's just take a look. This is one of my favorite quotes. I'm a great believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it, said by Thomas Jefferson. This applies directly to something like riding a long distance rally. The more work I put into the preparation, the more successful the ride's really going to be. Now that we've started the ride, let's go ahead and do a brief overview of Google Maps and how we can use some of its tools once we're on the ride. Right, so let's get started. Here's our phone. Here's our Google Maps icon. Opening up Google Maps, we can access our maps that we've built in MyMaps by going to Saved, down here to Maps, selecting Maps, and you'll find all the maps we've previously built in MyMaps. We can go ahead and select any one of the maps we built earlier, and it pulls right up. Once we've pulled up our map, we can simply navigate direct to the first point. In this case, MTMC, you can see this was already built into our route. Let's go ahead and select it. We'll hit directions. It's going to ask where do we want to start our navigation from. We're going to start from our current location. In this situation, it's going to be from the Sheridan Denver Tech Center, which is the start of the leg. You can see it's given us navigation directions for the shortest time to the bonus. Keep in mind, this is driving directions, and I have made the mistake of using bicycle directions. Don't want to make that mistake twice. Once we start navigating, we can also access the settings. There's a couple things in here we want to check for. Inside settings, we want to make sure prefer fuel efficient routes is not selected, along with avoiding ferries, tolls, and highways. If we select any of these, it's going to take us way off course and not give us the outcome we're looking for. From here, we can select this tab over here on the right, which will give us access to different base maps like terrain, satellite, or the default view. You can also see we can get easily to Street View from here to take a closer look at the bonus location. Clicking this tab here on the bottom left will clear out our map. From here, we can use the search icon to search along our route. This is a great function. I use it a lot for gas or other things, and in the 2023 rally, it was used a lot to find restaurants along the route. In this case, we're just going to search for a gas station. You can see here with this existing route, there's a few gas stations off our route here. We're going to want to find one that's closest off the route, just to the right side, where we can get on and off the freeway quickly and back on easily. This looks like the best option. We can select that and add it to our map. This is a good example of some of the restaurants that were on the 2023 rally, where I might want to add one of these to my route, pick up some extra points. Go ahead and take a look at Google Maps for offline use. You're going to get to your offline maps by selecting your icon up here at the top right corner for your account settings. You're going to go in here, select offline maps, and then you're going to select your own map. That's going to give you a window here for the available map space that you can download to your phone so you can later access without any data. We're going to go ahead and select download that to our phone. You can see here in this example, we're in airplane mode, so we have no data service here, and we can still navigate. We can click anywhere on the map and we get driving directions. You'll see there's going to be no traffic data, and the time from A to B is usually a little more conservative than when we are online. Just keep that in mind. With Google Street View, there's a couple ways we can access it. From our desktop, like we talked about earlier, we can go into our MyMaps, and through Google Earth, we can select Street View. You can see this is the iPad version of Google Earth with the Street View icon on the bottom right corner. If we select that, what it does is it puts blue lines on our screen, which shows us what areas have been mapped by Street View. You can see this bonus is an example here, PEOL. We have a Street View access line right on into the bonus. Closer inspection, we can take a look at this bonus long before we ever get there. This is the Canadian Potato Museum. By doing this, we can get a good idea of how we can get in and out of here and get some good situational awareness before we ever show up. That way, when we get there, we can take our bonus photo with ease and be out of there in no time. Street View on our phone is really simple. From our phone, we have our open map. We find the bonus location that we're looking for. We long press on our map, and you can see down in the bottom lower corner, once we've dropped a pin, it allows us to select Street View. This brings up the Street View window. Again, we see the blue lines on the street. This shows us where Street View is available. We can move this around to get a good view of the bonus location we're looking for, long before we ever get there. Let's talk a little bit about time management now that we're actually on the ride. On the left side here, we have navigation management. We're going to start off with Google. Note our calculated target times from the direction layer in numbers calculator. We did this earlier. This is the first segment of this leg, starting at the checkpoint and ending at the time restricted bonus in San Francisco. We earlier put that into our numbers calculator, and using a conversion factor of something like maybe 0.89 going out west, we might expect to arrive in San Francisco somewhere around 2 p.m. on the 26th of June. This will be something to take note of as we progress to see whether we're ahead or behind on time. Again, all this is available on your phone through Google Maps Mobile. Next thing we're going to talk about is how to use our Garmin. We're going to use our Garmin to navigate to the time restricted bonus, but in a little bit different manner. How are we going to do that? You can see here with our Garmin XT over here on the left side that this segment starts again at the checkpoint and goes all the way to the time restricted bonus in one continuous section. This is going to be useful because it's not taking us to the individual bonuses themselves. It's taking us in one line all the way through our bonuses to the end time restricted bonus. This is how we're going to monitor our progress along our route. You can see the Garmin XT here is coming up with 35 hours, 34 minutes, whereas Google calculated this at 35 hours and 44 minutes, so they're pretty close. You can see the trusty old 665 Garmin I've got here. It calculates it at 31 hours, 44 minutes. This thing must be broke, but if we go back to our time calculator, this is pretty accurate. This is right there in the ballpark of that 0.89 to 0.90 conversion factor to Google that we were applying earlier. So this works well to give us a good, accurate estimate as we get closer to that time restricted bonus. So I apologize for my poor slide building skills here, but you can see I've added something under minimize time stopped. I added don't be eaten by the stopped motorcycle monster. Really what this means is once your bike is stopped, it's really easy to get yourself into some conversation with some local or some other time-consuming thing like stopping at a McDonald's or feeding your face with some meat on a stick. Don't do that. We don't have time for that. We want to keep the wheels turning, and we want to get as many points as possible. This is the bonus stop checklist I'm using. It starts in the in route section. First thing we're going to do is we're going to read the requirements for the bonus. Make sure we know exactly what we're taking the picture of. Then, time permitting, we're going to use Street View. We talked about how to use Street View earlier, but Street View is a great tool for some situational awareness to know exactly where that bonus is. Next, approaching the bonus, we're going to note the exit. And what I mean by that is once we get the bonus, take our photo, how do we exit there? Which way do we need to go to the next bonus without plugging it in while the wheels are stopped? Last thing we want to do is have to turn around because we went the wrong way. We're going to compare the location. By comparing the location, I mean simply backing out of your direction layer and making sure that your current location is exactly where that pin is and knowing you're in the right spot. FPP, OPF, this is the acronym I made to kind of be a reminder for me for the steps that I take as I take my photo. Flag, phone, photo, photo, phone, flag. We'll take a look at this closer here in just a second. Next thing we do after leaving the bonus, we're going to navigate to the next bonus. Then we're going to review our photo. Reviewing our photo is vitally important. Last thing we want to do after riding days or nearly a week across the country to take a high point bonus is find out we took a bonus photo of the wrong thing or took a really crappy photo. So review your photo. If it's not good, if it's not right, if it's not correct, turn around, go back. If you got to go back 15 minutes to take a photo that you drove days to get there for, it's well worth it. And now's the time to figure that out. A quick note here, I did say zoom at the end of navigate to your bonus. That doesn't mean go fast. What that means is sometimes Google does some weird things where if you're looking at your map like we see here, you click on the pin and just navigate to it directly. It takes you there, but sometimes it's across the street or maybe even a block away. And that's not going to get you exactly where you need to go. So by zooming into the map all the way down to this zoomed in view we see right here, by clicking on the bonus here and then hitting directions, it'll take you right to it every time. We previously talked about the bonus stop checklist and the acronym FPP OPF. What I've got here is just a practice route I built from my house. It's got 15 points on it. It's only about 50 miles long, and it's got a bunch of practice bonus stops on it. This is a great way to practice your bonus stops. When you're not under the gun of the rally, you can really think about the procedure and the process. Which hand does what? How do you put the kickstand down? When do you grab your phone? Where do you grab your flag? How do you do all this in the proper order without having your hands full and getting all bogged down? Get a good flow, practice it in a manner like this, and your bonus stops will be much quicker. Let's look at a real world bonus stop here. This isn't practice anymore. We're not fresh. We're not well rested. This is day 9 of the IVR. I'm a mess. Just look at me. I'm wearing my heated liner. I've been rained on for the past few days. I've got no sleep. My jacket's halfway unbuckled. I'm a real wreck. Let's see how this goes. As I approach the bonus, really what I'm looking for is a place to park the motorcycle where I can get the bonus photo I want from the vantage point I need without even getting off the motorcycle. Put the bike over in the kickstand. I'm going to pull my flag out. I'm not going to drop it on the ground. I'm going to go ahead and pull my phone off the mount, and I'm going to start to take some photos. I like to take multiple photos here. I'll take some wide angle photos, captures the surrounding area, plus some more narrow field of view photos as well. I usually take anywhere from 2 to 4 pictures at any given bonus stop. But again, make sure you get a good photo. Once you've got your photo, we're going to continue on with our acronym. I'm going to take a picture of my odo. That's my time and odometer reading. Place my phone back in the crate and put my flag away. So we talked a little bit about not getting eaten by the stopped motorcycle monster. A little bit about bonus stops. What other kind of stops do we have out there? Taking the heated gear on and off is one of these ones that I just despise. It's such a waste of time. If you got to do it, make sure you do it as quickly as possible. Have a plan, know where your gear is, be able to get it on and off quick, and get back on the bike and get the wheels turning again. When you plan your gas stops, make sure you actually plan to have enough gas to actually get to the gas stop. In this video here, you'll see I ran out of gas 9 miles short of the gas station. This was my own poor planning. I thought I had more fuel on board. Fortunately, I was able to sputter along the side of the road for about 5 miles and actually roll downhill the rest of the time to get to this exit. Put it on the side stand, was able to get just a little bit of fuel into the tank to give me the last 100 yards to the gas stop. Well, that's how you get the most range out of your gas tank, I guess. This is not a good technique. I wouldn't use this one. Get your bike gassed up, get those wheels turning. Here's another fun video of some stopped motorcycle time. You just can't get around. You're just gonna have to deal with it and roll the punches. Last thing here is how to maximize your rest stop. The first and most important thing is just stop the clock. What do I mean by that? You start your rest by getting a rest receipt. Get that receipt the quickest way possible. Put a splash of gas in your bike. Get a receipt and get the clock stopped. Once the clock is stopped, then take a breath. Now you can go ahead and fill up your tank, add your water, get your necessities, do the things you need, get checked into your hotel, and get some good rest. Either before you go to sleep or after you wake up in the morning, depending on what you prefer. This is a great time to fill out your score sheet using your odometer pictures and get everything checked out as far as your route. If you're ahead on time, great. You might be able to add some more to your route and maximize your points. If you're running behind, this is a good time to start making some edits to your route and really fix things to maximize the most amount of points that you can get with the time available. But you got to do all this while you're off the clock. I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching. Below this video, you'll find links to the rally calculator, to the Excel spreadsheet that we used earlier, and the bonus stop checklist. Thanks again.